How much do keynote speakers get paid? A $20,000 keynote doesn't pay a speaker $20,000. In some cases, it pays just half of that. Here's what nobody tells you. The number you see on a speaker's website is not what they earn. Here's what most people don't see. You land a big speaking gig, you quote $10K, $15K, maybe even $20K for your keynote speech. But in the end, you may be short a few $1,000s. So when people ask, how much do keynote speakers get paid? The real question is, how much do they actually keep? Let's start with the number everyone loves. The famous $10,000 keynote speaker. If you've been around this space, you've heard it. Get paid for public speaking, charge $10,000 per speech. It's positioned like a milestone. Like once you hit it, you've made it. But when you actually look at the data, it's not impressive at all. Based on publicly available industry data, speakers, bureaus, reports, event pricing, most working speakers charge between $5,000 and $25,000 per speaking engagement. And about 62% of corporate event planners book speakers in the $5,000 to $20,000 range. So the 10K keynote speaker number is in the middle. It's just a pretty number to aim for. But here's where it gets interesting. Even if you say you charge $10,000, that does not mean that's what you are earning. If you are booked through a speaker bureau, which is very common, the bureau typically takes a 20-30% commission. That comes out of the speaker's fee. If we take an average 25%, then your $10,000 keynote speech immediately becomes $7,500 before other expenses. And that's assuming that the keynote speaker even got their full asking price. Because if you start at $10K, you may negotiate to the lower price if you really want to get that gig. But there are ways to earn more than your stated fee. Let's say a client calls you at the last minute, 30 days before the event. Now you can charge an extra fee because you need to adjust your schedule and preparation. Or you offer to do a workshop and increase your speaking fee by 50%. Now, a 10K keynote can become 15K with the right structure. But most speakers leave that money on the table because they're not treating this like a business, which is exactly why the next concept matters. Because when people ask how much do keynote speakers make, they often think about it as a one-time charge, not a business. Crystal Washington wrote an article for the National Speakers Association introducing a concept called effective fee, which is great reality check for aspiring speakers. Here's how it works. Say you're aiming to be a $10,000 keynote speaker. That's the goal. That's the number you show on your website. And let's say your goal is to do 20 events this year. If all goes well, that should be $200,000, right? Sounds great. But in reality, you negotiate, sometimes a lot. You can take $7,000 for a great opportunity. You can charge $5K for a speaking gig because the audience is perfect. Or maybe you even lowered it down to $4,000 for a nonprofit organization. And you actually book only 14 public speaking gigs. Your total revenue for that year, let's say, is $110,000. Now, divided by your goal of 20 talks, your effective fee is only $5,500. That's the number nobody wants to calculate. So even though you think you're a 10K speaker, you're actually operating like a 5.5K speaker. That's the gap. And it exists because of two things. You discounted and you did not hit your booking target. Crystal Washington says, and I think she's right, that knowing your effective fee lets you make smarter decisions. Maybe you lower your stated fee slightly so you negotiate less and book more. Or maybe you realize you need to improve your sales process. Either way, you can't fix what you haven't measured. So before you ask how much the keynote speakers get paid, ask yourself what your effective fee actually is. and then make your decisions about how much you want to charge. But here's something that people don't mention much when it comes to a speaking career. Clients, event invitations, media appearances, these usually don't come from just speaking well. They come from a combination of credibility and a strong message that people remember and share. If you want to create more speaking opportunities and grow your influence, I put together a Level Up Your Public Speaking Guide. It shows you the stages speakers go through as they grow their influence and helps you figure out your next step to becoming a thought leader in your industry. The link is in the description. It's completely free, so check it out. Okay, now let's look at the full picture, because how much keynote speakers make varies enormously depending on where they are in their careers. Entry-level speakers, from free to $5,000 speaking gigs. At this level, you get paid in experience. This is where everyone starts. You can do free speaking or low-fee speaking gigs to build confidence speaking in public, to test your message, and to grow your credibility. And I want to be very clear, free public speaking gigs don't mean worthless. For example, you don't get paid to give a TEDx talk, but the right TEDx talk built around your key idea can become credibility that will help you establish you as an authority on your topic and help you raise your fees. So it's not a free gig, it's a valuable investment. Once you've built enough proof, you got testimonials, a niche reputation, maybe a book or a strong online following, you can start charging. The typical reach at this stage is anywhere from a few $100s to a couple thousand. The next level is intermediate speakers, or what the National Speakers Association calls the business builder level. Speakers get roughly $5,000 to $15,000 per speaking engagement. This is the most common tier for corporate events. Speakers here are doing 10 to 20 paid gigs a year. They have a demo reel, client testimonials, consistent conference experience, and they negotiate a lot. This is also, by the way, where the effective fee concept hits hardest, because speakers at this level often have a stated fee, let's say of $10,000, and an effective fee of $5,000. The gap between what they think they're charging and what they are actually earning is significant. But while you are building your expertise and thought leadership, this level gives you a lot of flexibility to find your core message and nail your negotiation process with the event organizers. The next level is experienced professionals. Public speakers charge between $15,000 and $30,000. These speakers usually have a strong track record, specialized expertise, often a published book. They're getting hired for what they know, not just for general inspiration. They often work with bureaus and deliver customized content. Above that, specialized experts and industry leaders. They charge $30K to $75K per keynote speech. These are established national speakers, thought leaders, and rising stars who deliver high-impact keynotes with strong customization. These speakers offer media promotion, tailored content, and measurable program outcomes. At this level, you're not just delivering a keynote, you are being hired as a thought leader. Event planners come to you. That shift in dynamic is everything. And then the top-tier best-selling authors and business experts, $75K to $300,000. They include book authors, former executives, TED speakers with millions of views. At this level, the speaker's name on the program is itself a credibility signal for the event. They have a demand for their speeches and rarely negotiate their fees down. This is the level of speakers like Brené Brown, Simon Sinek, Mel Robbins, Adam Grant, James Clear, and Malcolm Gladwell. And here's what I find fascinating about this level of speakers. These speakers aren't just good at speaking. They're known for something specific. Simon Sinek owns Start With Why. Brené Brown owns vulnerability research. Mel Robbins has the 5-second rule and the Let Them theory. James Clear owns Atomic Habits. They have intellectual property and a kind of framework, a concept that audiences associate exclusively with them. That's what makes them set the public speaking fees at this level, not just their ability to speak in front of many people. Gary Vaynerchuk is slightly different. He leads with experience. He has built Wine Library TV, then Vayner Media, a digital agency, then a personal brand as a content creator. His authority comes from being a practicing entrepreneur who documents the work, plus his massive social media following. And then the top level of speakers is celebrities and A-list speakers. They make $300,000 to $1 million for their keynote speeches. They include former presidents, top entrepreneurs, and celebrities. Barack Obama makes from $400K to over $1 million per speech. Tony Robbins is consistently cited as one of the highest paid speakers alive, charging from $300,000 to $1 million per keynote speech. Bill Gates gets from $500K to $1 million. But here's the thing. I don't want you to look at these numbers and feel discouraged, because I think people misread what those fees are for. An organization paying Barack Obama $400,000 to speak isn't paying for his insights on leadership. They're paying for increasing ticket sales and media buzz. It's a prestige to have a former president walk into their conference. That fee is more of the marketing expense and less of the content compensation. As an expert, you're not competing with Obama. You're competing with other expertise-tired speakers, people building real authority around real idea. And here's one more thing worth knowing. It became a lot more relevant after 2020. Virtual keynotes are now a standard part of the market. A lot of speakers resist virtual events because the fees are lower. But that's the wrong way to think about it. Many corporate events incorporate some kind of hybrid model. The standard rule of thumb, speakers at virtual events get paid about 50 to 70% of in-person fees. So a $10,000 in-person keynote speaker typically charges $5,000 to $7,000 for a virtual keynote. And if you're building your speaking business right now, virtual events are a real entry point. About 80% of virtual speakers charge under $10,000. The sweet spot for experienced virtual presentations sits between $2,500 and $7,500. It's a lower fee, but also a lower overhead, not travel, and in some cases access to global audiences you'd never reach in person. So when you ask how much do keynote speakers get paid, you're asking the wrong question. The better question is, how do you move from $0 to $5K to $15K per speech consistently? Because that path is real and it's repeatable. Your speaking fee comes down to three things: your message, your credibility, and demand. Get from wherever you are right now to the next level with a stronger message, better proof, and an idea people need and share with others. That's how speakers grow their fees, not by charging more, but becoming worth more. Because in this industry, the speakers who get paid the most are the ones who own something people can't get anywhere else. And that's the real game. If you want to get more tips about how to build your speaking career, watch this video next.